Hey everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Day here in Mansfield, Texas, along with Bailey. Bailey, first of all, we're going to get to you in just a second, but I just want to know, can you sleep in a bed comfortably? I'm just curious. Can you actually sleep in a bed?
It took me a moment. I can't lie. I probably got some of the best sleep of my life last night, but getting used to a bed was a little weird.
Okay, so real quick, I know you can't see behind me, but I'm going to jump out of the way because I want everybody to see this. Bailey, Rick's son is here, and he walked along the Appalachian Trail from Georgia all the way to Maine. Walked, not jogged, not ran, not bicycled, not motorcycled, not drove, not flew, walked.
Truly.
How many, okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. Why don't you just get to some of the facts, because I think this is a great and interesting story for all of us, because this is, first of all, you look like you just came off a pilgrimage. Can I say that much?
I feel like I just came off one.
You did. You absolutely did come off of a pilgrimage. So let me ask you a couple quick questions, because I think I want to know, how many miles did you walk?
So the official mileage for this year is 2,197. But if you take into account the approach trail and getting down off Katahdin, it's well over 2,200.
How long did it take you to, because you just came down, you walked down on Saturday, right?
Yes,
you finished on Saturday.
2 days ago, Saturday.
And then you flew back here yesterday.
Flew back here yesterday, here today.
Took a shower.
Took multiple showers, because that stink don't go away quick.
Took multiple showers, and then, okay, so 2,200 miles. How many days did it take you to walk from this point to that point?
177 days.
That's almost half a year.
That's almost half a year. It started March 31st and it ended September 23rd.
Wow. April, May, June, July, August, September. That's pretty close to half a year.
Almost, yeah. One more week and it would have been the half year.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, first of all, had to have been a life-changing experience.
Oh, for sure. I have a completely new perspective now on life, humanity, our role in taking care of the earth.
Yeah, and pretty cool in and of itself. And I know it's life-changing. I know and everything like that. Let me ask you a couple. I mean, what did you eat? Because because you couldn't have carried food for 6 months, right?
No. So typically we would carry 4 days worth of food. I think my biggest carry was 5 days. And so for breakfast, it was typically oatmeal and some type of granola bar. And then during the day, you have protein bars. My lunch every day was some type of flavored tuna and a tortilla, drinking lots of water, and then at night it was either ramen or mashed potatoes.
So no Denny's.
No Denny's, nothing like that.
No Denny's, no eggs, bacon, and cold hot coffee, and any of that.
Nah.
So did you? Here's some great, because I've been wanting to ask you some questions. Was there ever a moment you're like, screw this, I'm ready to go home. I've had a little bit too much today, and then all of a sudden you work through it and you trudged on. Were there moments like, I'm done. This is it. I'm over it.
There's definitely a couple moments where I could feel myself getting beat. And then there's these amazing things that happen on the trail called trail magic and trail angels. So there's this day I'm just getting beat. I'm climbing mountains. I'm hurt. It's been raining. All my stuff is wet. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. And then I turn a corner and there's a roadside and there's this lovely woman and she's cooking hamburgers. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you have just saved my entire hike. I was about to just throw it out the window.
But what was the hardest? What was some of the? I know getting wet and walking, but what was the moments in which you were like, oh, you looked up and it's a climb, right? Because you know those are the ones, you know, that long climb that you got to do, but to get over this pass or whatever. Where were those, and what were those hard ones?
So there were a lot of climbs really down south in we're talking Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee. It starts to kind of flatten out around Virginia, and then New Hampshire and Maine are a whole beast of their own. That was going from the New Hampshire to Maine border was some of the the hardest hiking I've ever done in my life. That was the only time where I felt like I might not be able to do this. Because you go through the Presidential Range, which is some world premiere hiking, and then you go straight into 3 other mountain ranges, no rest in between. Like down south, you got like a day or two, you do a hard climb, you get a day or two. This was 2 weeks straight of just getting beat. And that was New Hampshire and Maine.
What is this cult that I hear about? What is this? I want to know about the cult.
So there is a group called the 12 Tribes. They are located actually all over the world, and they have a hostel that they let hikers stay at for free called the Yellow Deli. And I ended up actually staying there for 3 nights because they give you a free bed, breakfast, dinner, and they kept telling me, well, if you hike to this road, you can get a hitch into town and you have a bed for tonight. I'm like, all right. The only thing is, every time you're there, like, so do you want to go work at the farm for a bit? And I'm like, I'm not going to the farm. I know what happens if I go to the farm. I'm not doing it.
This is what I get when I think of cult. I think of girls sitting with flowers in their hair, trying to hand you a pamphlet and join, and it's free love, and it's free.
Yeah.
Are you getting that vibe when you do that?
They really honestly weren't super pushy about joining, but I did go to one of the worship services, and it was, girls are all dressed up, the guys are they have these long beards and hair and kind of look like me, and there's a lot of singing and dancing and tambourines, and it was, they formed out of the 70s Jesus movement, so they got their little hippie vibe going. But there's always stuff
what? I
under
got to
the
tell you right
surface.
now, you probably did not have to worry about fitting in.
Oh
right?
no, not at all, not at all.
Because I've got a feeling they probably looked at you and said, Jesus has arrived.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably. But it sounds like to me that maybe some of the guys there were kind of looking a little like you.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, outside of even the Yellow Deli, all the guys on trail end up with long hair and a beard. I mean, you're out in the wilderness for 6 months.
Yeah.
We're all
No barber shops.
There's
right?
no barber shops. I mean, if you hitch into town, you might get a cut. There's some trail angels that offered it. I was like, I'm not going to trim anything.
Right. So right now, this is more of a badge of honor that you're still wearing, right?
Exactly. I think soon it's coming off.
When does the badge of honor come off? Do you think? I'm not asking you to decide right now.
I'm gonna definitely after this interview, I'm gonna go home and at least clean up the beard, and then the hair. Still an internal debate. We'll see what happens.
So, and another thing, I mean, where were the girls? Because you're a young guy, you're out there 6 months.
Yeah.
Were there girls on the road?
Oh yeah, there are plenty of female hikers on the Appalachian Trail. Some are with their partner. There are some that are just hiking on their own. Actually, I hiked with a girl from London named Queenie, and she flew over all by herself, didn't have any friends, and just said, I'm gonna find my way through the American wilderness for 6 months, and just did it on her own.
Besides the physicality of it, this is a mental journey, isn't it?
For sure.
This is more than just walking the 2,200 miles. This is a mental thing, right? That you went through, you passed through. What goes through your mind? What are you going through? Not only mentally, but emotionally, what are you doing?
Towards the final days, you're really just. I had a lot of nights where I would hike by myself, and I actually my headphones broke. So the last 3 weeks, it was just me with my thoughts, and you're really just did I do this journey, and did I do it well? Did I get everything that I had hoped to get out of? And I got way more than I ever hoped. Did I accomplish those goals that I set out to go within myself and how I see people? And I can say I did.
What is it? What do you got there? What are you?
You have people. You have people that you've just done this crazy journey with, and you look at them and you're like, I'm so proud of you. And then you realize that they're looking at you and they're like, I'm so proud of you. And that's what really hits, is you're like, we did this together, and it's this crazy beautiful thing that like we call it trauma bonding. We are all forever trauma bonded by this trail.
Just talking about that far hurts. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be years that you're going to come to terms with some of the things that you encountered, right?
Oh, for sure.
This isn't just something that you've done. I think this is going to affect you holistically, right? As you move forward.
100%. Just the idea, I have so much more confidence in the idea of me doing hard things. I feel like before trail, I would, you know, we all paint ourselves in these boxes, and
Right,
we have a tendency to paint ourselves very small. But now I know, and I always have something I look at, like, if I can do big goals and I can make my way there. It might take time, there might be setbacks, but I know I'm capable of doing hard things. And anybody is. That's one big thing I learned. Anybody that you look at, you can never doubt somebody else's goal because you have no idea what that person's capable of.
So I think it's really important.
All right.
Do you think your smell ever came into play with anybody that you had encountered? Because I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, woo! That's probably, I mean, you had to have been ripe as a bad apple, right?
Oh,
I mean,
awful. I felt so bad. There was sometimes I scratching. Sometimes I'd get a hitch and I'd get into their car and I'm like, can you give me a ride to town? And I just see it on their face. I'm like, I feel so bad because you're helping me, but I can't help that, like, I just smell awful.
Yeah. So did you take a bar of soap with you at all?
No,
and
no
any of the
soap.
Things that you packed,
No
you think,
soap, no
look, I'm going to get in
deodorant.
a stream. I'm going to find fresh water. I'm going to actually use soap somewhere. You just said, no, let's go all natural.
All natural. Well, whenever I would usually hit a hostel where I could take a shower every 4 days.
Right.
So I'm like, I will be clean for at least a couple. But even after a shower, like I'd shower,
Yeah,
there's still dirt. I'm still
yeah.
like, oh, like.
Oh yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, you can't. That doesn't scrub off in one day.
No, not a chance.
Not even a little bit. When you saw your mom, what hit you? What hit you? What hit you when you saw your mom?
Well, honestly, the first thought when I saw my mom is I saw her running to hug me, and I was like, oh no, she has no idea what she's in for.
She's fixing to hear the right. She's fixing to hear the right. Look, I got some images back here. Why don't you fill us in a little bit about what these are? You know, here's the trail out here in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, that's what you did every day.
This is Georgia and North Carolina. This is some of my tramley. Hiking through, and as you can see, the trees, this is early. The trees don't even have their leaves yet. I got to see 3 seasons of the wilderness changing.
Okay, and look these sceneries. Look at here. Look over here.
That's Virginia.
What is that?
I know
that's not all natural. That's got to be.
That is all natural. That is McAfee's Knob. It's part of the Triple Crown of Virginia, and it is one of the most beautiful spots I
mean in your
ever
hand.
seen. Oh, that would be a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Everybody's best
PBR.
friend. You might not like Pabst Blue Ribbon, but Pabst Blue Ribbon will always be there for you.
That's right.
That's a
it's
fact.
for you. What do you got going on over here? Look at this. What is this?
This is me and my tramley at the very end. That's Katahdin, which over here is actually a giant picture of the mountain. It's the highest mountain in Maine. They call it the Great Mountain, and it's actually a very spiritual spot for a lot of people. There's actually a pilgrimage that happens there for a lot of the Native Americans in the area once a year. They all canoe, hike, or do anything they can to get to the top.
I want to tell you right now, I don't think those Native Americans got anything on you right now in a pilgrimage.
I don't know about that, but
right now, it's the god of war. Is that what you got going on here?
I am Aries, god of war.
Going on, and this is a beautiful campfire here.
For sure. This was one of our final camp spots, and we were on this beach in the 100-mile wilderness, and it was just beautiful all night. You hear the waves lapping, and that's actually my first fire ever started by myself. I got it all. I'd had help. You know, there's always somebody that butts in and goes, do this, and I got that all and fed it all by myself all night.
Did you, you went with your family and you were with your travel family. Was there ever a moment when you're like, okay, dude, I'm done with you? You're out of here. And you're not, you know what, the trail parts up here and we're parting both ways. Because, you go through the fire with somebody like that, there's got to be moments, sometimes you get in a fight in a trench, right?
For sure. Well, it's called a tramley because just like any family, we're going to have our arguments. We're going to have our days where like, I'm beat, but somebody else is like, nah, we're pumping out 5 more miles. Everybody else is like, no, we're not. So within my tramley, no, there was never really any fighting or hate. We had our little spats, but nothing crazy. But there is a phrase called hike your own hike, where somebody else outside of the tramley would be trying to get involved and trying to do stuff and be like, hey man, just go hike your own hike. Don't worry about it. Well, we're gonna hike our hike. You can hike your hike.
Hike your hike.
But
you never wanted to get anybody out of there.
No, there's never a time where we wanted to kick anybody.
You don't think you were that person that they ever wanted to kick you out?
I mean, they kept going like 20 miles ahead every day, and I'd catch up. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, they're all gone, but I don't know what that was about.
It might have been the rightness. What's ahead of you right now? Because obviously you had a lot of time for you.
I did.
You had a lot of mental you, right? Solo time to think through what you might do going ahead. What are some of the plans you might have going forward?
For sure. Well, immediately I'll go back to California and do my winter job. But long term, I want to start looking into grad programs, start studying psychology, doing something either in counseling, or maybe taking that a step further. That's what we're going to spend the next 2 years kind of looking at what we want to do. But this really showed me, I don't think I'll ever stop adventuring. I think that there's more trails, there's more places to see, and in between life events, I want to keep sprinkling in these moments where I get to be intimate with nature and be intimate with myself.
When do you start paying bills? Because if you don't pay bills, you don't pay bills. The rest of us out there do. But what do you? Now you're going to do your summer job.
So probably once I stop moving around. So I've gotten lucky where with my seasonal work they have employee housing. So you know I'm just. It's dorms. I'm living with other people, so it'd probably be.
So what is your summer job? Tell everybody what your summer job is.
I go and work in different national parks for different concessionaires, and then my winter job I work at ski resorts. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's a lot of hospitality. Wow. They always need help, and it gives me a place where I can explore and be with like-minded people. But I am still living in like dorm situations and stuff like that.
Let me ask you, and I know I always want to know this on some adventures like this. Could you have done anything like this without a degree?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. I mean, you don't need a degree to walk. I will say my degree helped me.
How did it help? What do you think?
Well,
what do you think? It gave you a little openness, a little bit.
Yeah. So my degree specifically taught me how to think and how to think through complex ideas. Right. So a lot of my journey, I would take up different philosophical documents or different philosophies of life and just sit there and think on them and break them down and break them. How does this idea affect me? How does this affect society? How does this work outside of society? And just giving yourself things to eat to fuel the mind.
Did you ever get a blister on your foot?
Oh yeah, I had times where literally at night I couldn't sleep.
Because a blister, I've been out. First blister, I've been. How many shoes did you go through?
I went through 6 pairs of shoes, and my 5th pair were like it was like slippers. The side was all cut up. It was ridiculous.
I imagine. Yeah. Did you prefer the sneaker or the boot?
I never did boots. I haven't done boots in three years. Since I've switched to trail runners, I stick with those.
You know, I know you went through. What was the absolute physically? I'm just gonna say, what was the absolute? Where'd you poop? I'm just saying. I just want to know. And what'd you use?
So
you use leaves, dried leaves.
I would always carry toilet paper. They were typically privies, but whenever I was dispersed camping or anything like that, you dig a 6-inch cat hole. Have a little tiny shovel that I would carry on me, and you dig the hole. We call them
trenching tools.
Yep, and then you do that and do your business, cover it up, and continue on with your morning. I will say, the food that I ate out there made it very immediate. It's like 7:30. We're going now. I hope you already have your hold in.
Yeah, I can see an emergency situation. It wouldn't make the 6-inch requirement,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's always a joke. You're not a true hiker
I
unless
might
you
be
crap
like
your
a
pants.
cat, like throwing the dirt on after, right?
Yeah.
Creating a 6-inch mound.
I will say there are some times where the whole digging came after because I was like, oh no, not here.
No, I get it. What was the one food that you say you probably would have made it without it? Was it the power bars?
Honestly, as much as I hate it, as much as I went through a phase where eating it, I would actively be gagging, and then it just turned into fuel. It was tuna. Every day. Protein. I mean, you need it. I mean, you gotta have it. And
so, but we're not probably having protein tonight, are we?
No, well,
not
tuna.
We're not having tuna tonight.
No, I'm taking a long time off of tuna. Oh my goodness.
No starfish tonight.
No
baby.
Starfish tonight. Maybe the chicken packets.
Did you brush your teeth?
I did.
Okay,
I did
just checking. I don't know, because I feel like there were days you said, you know what, I'm not doing it. I'm out here in the woods.
I might have skipped like 2 or 3 days. Or there's some days like you wake up and like it's so
Dude, you're
early.
a
You have
mountain
so
man.
many miles.
What are you
I'm
talking
like, what am I
about? There's
doing?
none of that. You're a mountain man. I figure I was hoping you'd come back with like a bear skin, right?
Yeah.
And a Bowie knife, you know, and you're like, yeah, I took you down. But, you know, you look back and I just don't want, for the next year, don't tell me, well, when I was out on the trail.
Yeah. I'm worried about it. Yesterday, the storm was coming in, and they're like, there's a big storm. I was like, you don't know big storm.
You don't know big storm.
You don't know being out there and the lightning hits you and you think a tree's going to fall on you.
Do you miss your mom or your papa more?
Probably my mom.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah,
well, kind of. I'd say I'm mama's boy, but I talk to my mom more. I talk to my mom more actively. So it was always like talking to Papa. It was like an extra sweet treat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great, man. I hope that I can't wait to hear what your next journey is going to be. You know, there's no rush.
For sure.
But it sounds like you got a little bit of a plan.
For sure.
And excited for you, man. Congratulations. Well-traveled journey.
Thank you.
Well made it. Self-discovery, right? I think more than anything, you probably learned as much in 6 months as you did in 4 years in school.
Oh, 100%. It's whenever you go into the wilderness, you come out with a lot more than you thought you were going to come out with.
It's totally different.
Truly.
Well, congratulations. All right. Well, that's been a little bit of the interview with the self-traveler, mountain man Bailey here. What an adventure. 2,200 miles of walking in 6 months. I suggested we all get to do some of that.
For sure.
Negative. All right, we'll be back. We're going to go straight over to your local stations right after this. And guess what? You're watching BCB Live. Can you say it?
The safest station in the nation.
There you go. We'll be right back.